إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله عز وجل كما جاء في محكم التنزيل يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. Brothers and sisters, we begin with praise and gratitude. The natural response of one whose soul is awake and alive, whose heart is thriving as our Creator has blessed us to live, who realizes a purpose in serving something greater than their own personal interests, who realizes a participation in a divine consciousness. So we seek His guidance, we seek His assistance and pray to Him daily. We try to remember Him in all that we do and wherever we go. And we ask His forgiveness because we will all come up short. We will all be mistaken. You see, guidance is a very special blessing that we should never underestimate. Guidance is this knowledge of purpose and this clarity of what to do and why to do it. Without divine guidance, then we are at the behest of the social conditioning, the human beings around us and their collective influence upon us. And so we are called in the Quran, we are called to become a spiritual nation of believers. And we are called to be a collective, a congregation of people. Perhaps both the greatest blessing as well as the biggest trial that we all face is our children. Allah tells us in the Quran of our greatest trials in relationship to faithfulness. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تخونوا الله والرسول وتخونوا أماناتكم وأنتم تعلمون واعلموا أنما أموالكم وأولادكم فتنة والله عنده أجر عظيم. It is in this context in which He calls out to us, O you who believe, do not be unfaithful to God and the Messenger, and knowingly betray your trusts and responsibilities and your duties to Him, and reflecting the blessing of prophethood. And know, be conscious of the fact that your wealth and your children are a test, are a trial. And Allah has a great reward for whoever would embark upon that test with seriousness and earnestness. The Holy Quran calls each and every one of us to first prioritize our own spiritual growth and preservation. But at the same time, He's asking us to be concerned about the welfare of our family. We must never allow our family or our wealth to divert us from the path of Allah and His Messenger. يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا. O you who believe, protect yourselves and your families from the hellfire. ولا تلهكم أموالكم ولا أولادكم عن ذكر الله. Do not allow yourself to be diverted by your concern with your children and your wealth without making that a spiritual goal and a spiritual focus. Don't let that become a material focus. And we are surrounded and living in a secular world that is all about materialism. You are being socially conditioned every day through so many means to be focused on the material, on your own personal gains, on what you want for yourself. And so it's important for all of us to prioritize our spiritual protection from this world and what it has to offer, because that's what we're protecting it from. Our desires to make this place that we're living in our home, to make it our ultimate attachment, to make it our goal, enjoyment of this world. That's what we're protecting ourselves from, because we are not of this world. The body that we are living in, pay close attention, is from this world, and it will stay here. It will wither back and go right back down. The soul, who we are, comes from heaven. Our home is in heaven. And we are here to prove ourselves, our recognition of who we are and who we serve and why. Because of gratitude. Because of a recognition that I did not create myself. I have not blessed myself with anything. I'm simply a manifestation of God's mercy and compassion. And so I'm grateful for that. And so each one of us is a shepherd. The Prophet ﷺ, كُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ وَمَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. Each one of you is a shepherd, responsible for the flock that you have. So the man is responsible for his household, and he will be asked about them. And his wife is responsible for her husband's house and the children that grow up in there. And she will be asked about how she dealt with that. Of the most 5 consequential things we will be asked about on the Day of Judgment. وَيُسْأَلُ عَنْ شَبَابِهِ فِيمَا أَبْلَى. The person will be asked about their childhood. How did you spend it? The blessing of energy, of vibrance, of creative thought. How did you use that? Was it for a spiritual purpose of knowing divine truth and living that and promoting that in the world? Was that your focus? Or was it about selfish gain of personal enjoyment and achieving grades to get a degree so that I could get a title and make money and pay bills, material? The companions had the proper balance, which meant that while they took care of their families and they had jobs and they made money and they maintained good businesses, it was their spirituality, their soul was deciding and prioritizing the value and the usage of this wealth and these children. That's what made them the greatest nation. That's what makes them so special. That's why Allah says, وَالَّذِينَ اتَّبَعُوهُمْ بِإِحْسَانٍ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ وَرَضُوا عَنْهُ. Whoever would follow them to the best of their ability, seeking excellence, as our mission is here, devotion to God, striving for excellence, not just being like, okay, alhamdulillah, I believe in God and His Messenger, I'm Muslim, that's fine, I'm Muslim now, alhamdulillah, inshallah, I'll go to heaven. No. We're looking to get better. We're trying to raise the bar. We're trying to see how we can grow, how we can refine ourselves, how we can get rid of behavior traits and ignorance and usages of time that are not in our best interest. They don't benefit us. The Quran tells us the beautiful story of Luqman and how he's a model of advising children. And so there's a long page that has a lot of detail. It could be a whole series of sermons. Inshallah, one day we'll do that. But just a couple of points I want to focus on that he said. وَاتَّبِعْ سَبِيلَ مَنْ أَنَابَ إِلَيْكَ. Oh my child, follow the path of the one who is turning to God. One who is conscious of the divine truth that is the source of their existence and all of the blessings and favors and enjoyments that they have. Follow the path of those people. Be with those people, spiritually awoke and thoughtful, mindful, spiritual people. Spend time with these people. ثُمَّ إِلَيَّ مَرْجِعُكُمْ فَأُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. You will all return to me, and I will judge you, and you will come to know what you used to do. Meaning, focusing on the hereafter. We tend to focus a lot on this world. Let's just all right now as parents, take an inventory. لا أقسم بالنفس اللوامة. Let's be that self-blaming, self-critical soul by which Allah swears so that we can meet Him and be in a good state in His contentment. Throughout the week, during a school year, what is the percentage of our focus on spiritual mindfulness, spiritual practice, and serving the spiritual cause in society, compared to the homework and the grades? And know who gave you that priority system is not on Sabila man anaba ilay. This is a capitalist society that sees you all as a statistic of how much money do you add to the GDP. And so it's very important for us to be very, very conscious of this. يا بني أقم الصلاة وأمر بالمعروف وانهى عن المنكر. Oh my son, establish the prayer. He doesn't say صلي الصلاة. We oftentimes focus, again, let's take inventory. Let's take inventory and judge ourselves before. حاسبوا أنفسكم قبل أن تحاسبوا. Take account of yourself first. Are we teaching kids to pray the prayer or to establish it? And what is the difference between Salli Salah and Iqamatu Salah? Salli Salah is to just go through the motions and get it done and do it and say it, and then you have checked your box. That's Salli Salah. Iqamatu Salah is to have a deep, spiritual, intimate connection with God for those 5 to 10 minutes where I feel some change in who I am. I feel burdens lifted from me. I feel an answer to my prayer. I feel a closeness with the soul. And I feel relieved of the attachment of this world, because if I die, I feel like I'm in the right place. If that's how Salah is being established according to the prophetic model, then we are teaching our kids correctly. And I'm here to tell you, I have spoke to and seen and watched many, many people who did not take it that way growing up. And so it's crucial for us to revive and to rethink and to strategize how we can fix what maybe is spiritually broken. And then after that he says, and enjoin what is right and forbid what is wrong. Meaning, if you're out there talking to people about what's morally upright and what's wrong, and you yourself are not connected to the divine, serving Him, remembering Him, knowing it is His glory and His praise that we celebrate, and not my own knowledge and my own influence or morality, then it's not going to be fruitful. We have to start spiritually connected to the divine and recognizing His place as the King and Guru, provider, sustainer, and maintainer of all things. And then we serve Him as His servants, as His slave servants, by doing His work in the world. We've just concluded an amazing celebration of our beloved Prophet Abraham, peace and blessings be upon him, who was known for hallmarks of deep faith, intellect, conviction, courage, and audacity. And it's so important to not lose one important element of how we're told his story. It started when he was a young boy. قالوا سمعنا فتى يذكرهم يقال له إبراهيم. When they had the big turmoil of the idol worship being destroyed in the village, they said, we heard of a young boy talking about these idols in a disrespectful way. His name is Abraham. It started when he was just a boy. And all of the prophetic tradition of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam tells us, from Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu, from Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, from Mus'ab ibn Umair, to Abdullah ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Zubair, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, all of the Abadillah. We see a big emphasis on empowering young people, not just to be spiritual and own their truth, but to lead. But yet, among the Muslims is this attitude of a bit of pride amongst older folks. In that you're just a small child who doesn't know or understand anything, follow me because I said so and that's why. And never think for yourself or be that Abrahamic model who thinks critically and tries to analyze and figure things out and then challenges the authority based upon conviction. We all require an inventory of who we are, what we do, and why we do it in the most important category that exists, eternal truth of the soul. That's what we came here for today. The question is, when we leave here, what will we take and what will we do? The Prophet ﷺ said the best contribution a parent could give to a child is good discipline. Now, unfortunately, again, when people hear the word discipline, there is a huge misguidance that is mainstream in the Muslim community, which is discipline means to hit children. The Prophet ﷺ never hit any child. And when he talked about the responsibility of us to teach our children iqamatus salah, he gave it 3 years that we are responsible to make sure from 7 to 10 that this person grows and understands, to where if they did at 10 years old act like they don't care because their desires are getting the best of them, then you could spank them about it. But if you did not do from 7 to 10, who's the one that deserves a spanking here? Yet we, it's the conditional clause we think about. Because they're my children, I pay for their stuff, now they owe me everything. No, it's much more than that. وَقُلْ لَهُمَا قَوْلًا كَرِيمًا وَاخْفِضْ لَهُمَا جَنَاحَ الذُّلِّ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ وَقُلْ رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِي صَغِيرًا. Put it together. We don't just deserve all of their respect and obedience because we paid for stuff for them, or because we happen to have had an egg and a sperm unite to make them, but because we were concerned about their welfare in a holistic sense. Rabbayani is from a Rabb, because they used to care for me spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. They were concerned about my welfare in every way growing up. So now I owe it to them to have the best manners and the highest character and the respect and obedience. But yet many of us want the easy ticket. Brother wants to go work 35 hours a day. And then, the kids don't even know who this guy is. It is crucial for us to take inventory of our responsibilities according to revelation and not popular public opinion of people who call themselves Muslim. Because we're not in a state to take the example of common Muslims these days. Just look at the Ummah. We must reflect through revelation and be willing to challenge the status quo like Abraham and establish a system that is successful because it is following the prophetic truth through revelation. Not because I saw Uncle so-and-so and growing up in such and such place, we assume that they all know what they're doing and that's Islam. No, we study the scripture. We take it from Allah. We take it from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, of the worst of sin, كَفَى بِالْمَرْءِ إِثْمًا أَنْ يُضَيِّعَ مَنْ يَقُوتُ. Of the worst sins, it's if someone would lose somebody that they spend it in their interest. They take care of their needs financially. Meaning, they saw that as their only responsibility. That's the wisdom of this hadith. That it's not just a matter of paying their bills or feeding them food. It's much more than that. It's much deeper than that. So, my son gives me a hard time. He's 13. So, Baba, every other kid and the Muslim kids have a cell phone. Why can't I have a cell phone? And I say, because that thing is filled with evil and you're a curious teenager. You need to grow more until you can be responsible with such a thing. And we would be naive to think that they would never be curious with such a device. We have to be careful. Spirituality is delicate. We live in a world that makes people worship their desires of personal enjoyment and entertainment. You gotta be careful. You cannot standardize. Oh, everybody else does it. When did that become right? We have to think about consequences. On the day of judgment, I'm asked about giving that phone to that kid and what that did to their mind and how that led to their identity and their behavior. It's serious. It's not just a matter of, well, it's easier to raise them because now they have ajhiza. We give them some device to keep them busy because they enjoy it, and then they stay focused on that and they learn nothing about the truth of divine reality as it relates to human and social welfare. It's crucial for us to take things seriously. What kind of music they're listening to, what kind of stuff they watch. My son came home from an Islamic school one time in Oklahoma. And he told me, trying to remember one of these Marvel guys that it turned out was very filthy. Trying to remember the guy's name. Some Marvel thing that was rated R, and when I looked up on the thing, why rated R? There's an F word every single thing, and the guy talks about filthy, nasty things. And the guy's chopping everybody's heads off. And my son, who at that time was in the 2nd grade, said, my friend in 2nd grade went to go see this. Rated R movie. And his dad, I see at the mosque. The deen is not just going to a mosque to pray. That's a small, minuscule part of religion. Don't allow yourself to be secularized so that you can check your box. No, I'm a religious Muslim. Brother came to me the other day. He was like, and I love the brother and I respect him, but I just have to talk. He's like, yeah, mashallah, I visited England. Mashallah, they're very serious over there. In his mind, seeing a bunch of guys with long beards, with dish dashes on, walking down the street, and women wearing niqabs are not even seen. Oh, that's some serious religion right there. What? I think it's important we study our religion a little bit deeper, a lot deeper. So who our kids are good friends with? الْمَرْءُ عَلَى دِينِ خَلِيلِهِ فَلْيَنْظُرْ أَحَدُكُمْ مَنْ يُخَالِفُ. Prophet ﷺ was not joking around when he said this. Can you imagine that that's whoever is close to this person is on their religion? So be careful who you take as a very close friend. It's one thing to have a friend who's an acquaintance that you know, and they're a decent person, that's it. But someone who becomes your best friend, and they have no spirituality, you will have no spirituality at that point. Because you will be affected by those people, particularly when you're a small minority of a religious community. So, it's important that we look into how we instill spirituality in this generation that we're raising. People are looking right now. What's going on in Palestine, Kashmir, Myanmar, all of that. I'm telling you, you are living in the place where if Muslims grow up and they become a thriving generation who are both fully committed to their faith based upon a deep understanding and at the same time integrated and fully respected as a natural native part of this society, and then they exert themselves in contribution and influence, all of those problems can be fixed within 30, 40 years. And you will have had a big hand in it had you have committed to this important reality of raising a generation of true believers. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه فإنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. There are a few things that we must, I can sum up my khutbah, all the ayahs in the hadith, into 3 things to make it easy. 3 things that if we instill them in our children, they will succeed, and we will succeed in our duty raising them, and they will succeed as believers. Number 1, a personal identity, not an identity through you, but an identity that they own, that is rooted in a deep understanding of the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Not because someone told them so, not because they're affiliated through tribe or culture or lineage or whatever, but because they own it. Number two, a connection to the believers, to the jama'ah, to the congregation, personally and socially. What does that mean? It means personally, their closest friends are Muslim. Not just any Muslim, because we are struggling as much as many other people of faith are. But people who are dedicated to Islam. And how are they going to be best dedicated to Islam? Socially. They're attached to their local mosque and congregation. They're involved there. They are learning. They are learning their religion. They're building relationships. They're building fellowship. They're given a platform to go out and be Muslim and proud of being Muslim and doing the work in the society. That prayer translates into action. And if these two are done, number three will be the inspiration and motivation to do that work on their own as they grow up. Regardless of what college they go to, wherever they settle, they will be firm because they will know where their roots are, in their knowledge and in their local Muslim community. And they will grow out of that. Here at MCC, this is a top priority of ours. We see the data. We have studied the framework of the American Muslim community. Not, well, inshallah, we'll just try to be Muslim. But let's look around the mosques, talk to all the imams, particularly talk to successful imams who've been there a while and have successful communities. Look at Islamic schools and then look at graduates of Islamic schools, what they're doing, what their priorities are, where are the success stories, and where is the not so successful stories. And learn from all of that and then put together a strategy. So we have done that and we are working on that as a policy of MCC. We want to have this place feel natural and comfortable to young people. To be Muslim and to be going to the mosque is something that is normal and natural. Now, we all know that that is not natural as it is as it stands. It's not comfortable. There is some feeling of, oh, you're making me go there. Our job is to make sure that it is a good experience, that they learn, that they grow, that they form friendships and bonds, that they're able to go out and live Islam and work Islam in society. That's our job, and we're going to do that so that you will find it easier on yourself. If you're just at home and then you're going against 5 days a week of indoctrination to a secular lifestyle, it's going to be tough. So it's important that on Saturdays and Sundays, or Saturdays or Sundays at least, we have committed ourselves to the Islamic Center, to the jama'ah of the believers, to the collective, so that we as a people can fulfill our duty, our amana. We owe it to Allah because He has told us in all the ayahs I have mentioned. We owe it to our children because it's their right over us. And we owe it to ourselves because it's our responsibility. And we owe it to society because Islam is here to serve the best interests of the community. And as you see here in America, our corrupt system has not been solved, with all due respect to Christianity. And that is because it does not have a comprehensive answer to these problems. And because it's easy to hijack someone who thinks they have a free ticket to heaven and they're not responsible and they don't require a yearning of seeking knowledge and self-accountability, because it's, I'm going to heaven anyways. So we are carrying this prophethood. I ask Allah that He will bless us all to really sincerely work for this. Ya Allah, give us the motivation to serve You. Give us the inspiration to follow Your Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ya Allah, remove from our hearts ignorance and arrogance and wastefulness. Ya Allah, inspire us to embrace the prophetic character that You have laid out for us. Ya Allah, bring our hearts together as a community. Help us to succeed. Inspire the leaders of this mosque and the leaders of the committees and groups that are charged with helping us to raise a generation of believers. Ya Allah, forgive us for our sins. Forgive us as people who come to you seeking knowledge and understanding and wisdom and forgiveness. Ya Allah, help us to prioritize spirituality. Ya Allah, when you have asked us to do something, help us to fulfill it to the best of our ability. Ya Allah, we ask you to send your peace and blessings and mercy upon your final messenger, Muhammad wa alayhi wa sallam.